Hey, Becoming Me. I am so excited to introduce you to my warrior friend, Ryan. Ryan, welcome to Becoming Me.
Emily, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute honor to be here today.
Well, the honor is mine, and I don't even think I've shared this with you yet, but I first came across your name on my Instagram Discover For You page. Like, I'm literally like scrolling through Reels one day, and I see like literally where you're sitting right now, like a podcast episode, like vibe pop up.
Yeah.
Like, who's this Ryan guy? And then I see my friend Wendy follows you, and she
Yeah.
has recorded podcasts with you. So I'm texting Wendy, like, Wendy, who's Ryan? I need to
Yes.
know him. Do I need to interview him? And then I see
Yes.
you have a book, which I have now read. So I'm like so excited to have you on the podcast to dive
Man.
into all the things. And I also know at this point, people are listening and they're like, Emily, that's so fantastic. You've met Ryan. I don't know who he is yet. So take a minute and introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the kind words. My name is Ryan Wekenman. I'm the teaching pastor at Red Rocks, Austin, which is a church in Austin, Texas that I started with two of my best friends about 6 years ago. It's Red Rocks Church started in Denver in 2005. But a while back, we got an opportunity to go take a location anywhere we wanted, and we picked Austin, Texas,
Wow.
and have just been absolutely loving it. It's so fun to get to build with your best friends, and yeah, that's been a huge part of my story. I've also been a single pastor for over a decade now. Relationships have never been a huge desire of mine.
Mhm.
But in especially in the stream of Christianity that I'm in, that's kind of a unique space, and so that's come with
Mhm.
a lot of questions from a lot of people,
Yeah.
and realize that that creates a lot of good opportunity to sit with other people who are single and really help do my best to help shepherd them, pastor them through what is for some people a season, and for
Mhm.
others is a lifelong decision that they make. And so I'm a huge proponent of singleness. And to your point, I just wrote a book called Single Today, that
Woohoo.
you were kind enough to read and mark up and take notes on, which just makes me so happy. This is my first
Mhm.
book. It's been a 4 year long journey. And it's just been a crazy, hard, brutal, beautiful journey to get there. And yeah, I'm super, super proud of it.
Well, I am proud of you. I know we're new friends and reading through the book, I mean, just your authenticity, sharing your true like experiences and stories. As I read, I was like, man, I'm so proud of Ryan because
Mm.
that's not easy to do. So just thanks for sharing the gift of you with us. And I would love to just give some space and time for you to unpack your story and your journey. Like, who's the Ryan behind the author of these pages?
So good. Well, to your point, yeah, the book is super vulnerable and authentic. And I think my first answer to your question is that is not something that comes very naturally to me, like as a
Mhm.
human being. Like when I'm sitting with people and they're just like expressing how they're feeling, like off the cuff, I feel like they're doing like a
Uh-huh.
magic trick. I'm like, how
Me
are
too. Yeah.
like, how are you guys being like so real right now? This is like so cool. I
Mhm.
wish I could do that. The Ryan behind the pages is someone who has to sit in coffee shops for hours on end, and really think through what I'm
Mhm.
trying to say, and really work hard to tap into my deeper emotions and the things that are really going on. And so for me, I have spent a lot of years, I think because of that, wondering if there's something wrong with me,
Mhm.
wondering if there's like something got messed up, and everybody else has this ability to like feel these emotions and share these emotions, and it just like skipped me. And then couple that with never really having a deep desire to be in a relationship when we live in a world that screams like this
Mhm.
is everything. And watching, all through my 20s, it was being a groomsman in so many weddings, and watching all my friends take these steps and being nothing but like excited for them, but
Mhm.
also like standing up there feeling a little like it's kind of strange. Like I'm very happy for them, but I don't think I want that, or at least not
Mhm.
right now. And trying to like navigate that space of
Mhm,
feeling like there's something wrong with me because I can't feel and figure out what I'm feeling, but then also
mhm,
because I don't seem to have this desire to pursue a relationship. Those have been kind of the two main like big driving pain points of of my life. But in the meantime, like absolutely love being a pastor, love
mhm,
storytelling, love helping people tell their stories, love helping people live a great story, you
mhm,
know, and am really good at encouraging people and like pushing other people to go take these crazy steps and do these
mhm,
things. I think honestly, the book was me eventually getting to the point where it's like, yeah, but what about you, Ryan? Like, are you ready to take this crazy step and do this crazy thing? And so a lot of my like becoming journey for
mhm,
me has been learning how to
mhm,
sit in stillness long enough to let those deeper feelings that are down there, they're just buried,
mhm,
you know, actually come up to the surface. And um yeah, not be
mhm.
afraid to look at some of those deep insecurities in the face. And um yeah, that and sit with that and learning that I can actually invite God into that
Mhm,
pain and invite God into that sadness. And so yeah, a lot of what I've been up to for the last few years has been trying to get really serious about doing that. I feel like that was all over the place. Did that answer your
No,
question at all?
absolutely, it's incredible, and it's ironic, I just finished reading Jenny Allen has a new book called Untangle Your Emotions.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I read that, then I read your book, and I felt like so many of the themes really wove together really well, and how we just sit with our emotions, and talk to me for a second for the person who's listening to this for the first time, maybe they haven't read the book or dove into your podcast yet. And they're like, "Man, I've never heard anybody articulate so clearly and well that, like, somebody might not have the desire to be married." Because you're right, like, anytime that we scroll on Instagram, TikTok, whatever the case may be, talking with our friends, I mean, I'm in a friend's wedding this summer, and so it's everywhere, right? And I think you wrote and gave permission that, like, I mean, that might not be everybody's story or desire. So talk to somebody who's maybe starting to hear that for the first time.
Yeah, let me start by saying I'm a huge proponent of marriage. Second page of the Bible, it's not good for man to be alone. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and hold
Mhm,
fast to his wife. The two shall become one. I officiate weddings all of the time. I sometimes I worry that since I'm like the single guy, that people think I'm against marriage. Nothing could be further from the
mhm,
truth. I absolutely celebrate it. Um, I also just know that depending on the study you read, 47 to 53% of US adults are single, which
mhm,
means that there are a lot of single people. And a lot of those single people have like this deep desire to be with someone, which is amazing.
mhm,
And that's what I do. I end up spending the majority of my time talking to those people. But then there's also this other uh, area of people that I find myself
mhm,
in often that really start to realize along the way, like, hey, I'm actually super independent and I'm
mhm,
actually fine. And I actually love being single because it affords me all these amazing opportunities to do all these amazing things that I wouldn't
mhm,
have if I was in a marriage right now. And to that person listening, like when you start to read like really just an
mhm,
elementary reading of the New Testament will show you that like single there's actually a seat at the table for single people in the
mhm,
church. I know that because both the savior of the world, Jesus, and the one who took the savior of the world's message to the ends of the earth, the apostle Paul, were single.
mhm,
Like two of the biggest names in scripture were single. And so just know that person out there that there is a more robust and beautiful picture and view of
mhm,
singleness that I think we've made space for in the church, and that's one of the things I'm
mhm.
trying to shift a little bit.
No, I love that. And I'm curious, do you listen to the Carey Nieuwhof podcast at all?
Yeah, I love Carrie.
Okay. So recently he had an interview with Annie F. Downs. Did you listen to this
I
episode?
heard
Okay.
so fascinating, right? Keep going.
Yeah. So I'm curious because obviously I'm a woman, you're a dude. And
Mm,
so they shared from the guy's vantage point of men going into ministry, this cultural pressure that you need to be married to be a pastor. And then
Yeah.
on the flip side, that women go into ministry to find a husband. And
Mm.
so I'm curious from a guy's vantage point, is that true for you?
There So I have been blessed with amazing leaders and pastors who have never blinked for a second to champion me
Yeah.
as a single pastor, which is I'm finding out is rare. And so on one hand, I want to honor my leaders, and on the other hand, to address the problem that
Mhm.
yeah that is a thing. And okay, to break this down, like I get it at one level. It is, to quote God, not good for man to be alone. And there have been historically over the last 10 years for me as a single pastor, there have been some really difficult moments for me.
Mhm.
One that comes to mind is I remember the first time I did a funeral for someone who
Mhm.
was younger than me, and it was just a brutal Saturday. It
Mhm.
was, like a gut-wrenching day, and I remember getting home feeling like, "Man, I really like, it would be nice to have somebody" like, I have my friends, but it would be
Mhm.
nice to have somebody to, like, really process this and, like, grieve this with, right? And so as a single pastor, you are at a disadvantage at some level.
Mhm.
However, you also have a tremendous advantage. And
Mhm.
that advantage is I have had to learn how to go to God in those
Mhm.
moments,
Yeah.
and really let God into like I just feel like I have this really sweet relationship with God, um, uh, that I don't and if that's not your worldview, whatever, I'm just this is my becoming
Yeah.
story is
Yeah.
I just feel like God and I are really close. Like
Yeah.
we're just friends because I've there's been moments where I'm like, God, I need to like cry with you right now, you
Mhm.
know? Um, and so one thing I always want to say about like single people who are getting into ministry is like we we understand God in like this very unique way.
Mhm.
Because and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Marriage is this very sanctifying thing, which is
Mhm.
beautiful. And all my married friends, all the married listeners just said amen to that, right? But singleness is also a very sanctifying thing in a different way.
Yeah.
And so I do just think there needs to be a seat at the table for single people in ministry.
Mhm.
And that's like not as like a well, this is the thing that you'll do, and then you'll be married within a year, and then you'll be on like the varsity team, you
Right.
know, but rather like, no, this is the varsity team.
Mhm.
And by the way, there isn't varsity and JV. So let's just throw that out to begin with. Like you have a seat
Yeah.
at the table.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, what is your experience been like in that regard?
I feel very fortunate, like similar to you. So I'm a pastor's kid. Grew
Mm.
up in a pastor's house. He has two daughters, and so my dad literally raised Katie and I to believe we could do, be anything we wanted in life, and like to pursue goals and dreams. So I never really even thought about relationships, guys, till college, after college. And I just have been pursuing all the dreams. And it wasn't until listening to that podcast, which is like a couple weeks ago, that was like, people thought or feel this, like going into ministry, which makes me sad, truly, because I
Yeah.
agree with you. Like, I'm a proponent of marriage, obviously, like to quote God, as you said. And I have awesome parents and watching them love each other. But you're not disqualified from ministry if you're single. God can 100% use you as he's using you, he's using me. And I agree with your statement, like after the funeral that one day, I probably feel singleness and ministry the heaviest on the days where it'd be really nice to have somebody to process some of the heaviness with. Um,
Totally.
but how you articulated like this sweet friendship and relationship with God, like I completely resonate with that. So yeah, hearing that episode, I was sad for all the guys who felt like they have to be married to fulfill a specific role that God has for their life. And then for all the girls, like the same way, like be you. A person doesn't complete you. I think that they can complement you if that's God's plan for your story and how he's shaping you to become. Um, but Yeah, like, good stuff
So good.
there. I
So good.
also like, I loved in your book, you gave such practical advice for, like, the person who walks up to you in the church lobby and is like, "Are you ever gonna get married?" And that part, I died laughing, Ryan, because that's
Does that
happened to
happen to you a
me
lot?
so many times, and I feel it well, okay, and this is where I'm proud of watching my progression out of insecurity surrounding it to, like, walking very confidently in
Mhm.
who God's made me to be and living single today, to use, the theme of the book, right? Gotta read it to know exactly what that means there, guys, but, years ago, a gentleman walked up to me in the lobby at our church and was just like, "Are you ever gonna get married and have kids?" And I'm like, "Thank you, I need to go. I think they're calling me. Is that my radio? I need to go." And I felt so awkward and was just like, "I am out of here." Fast forward to literally probably a month and a half ago, an older, like, couple comes up to me at our church and just like and the gentleman leans in and he's like, "Are you getting married?" And he said it in a way that I literally my head was like, "Does he know something I don't know? Like, is there something out there that, like, I'm getting married? I'm not even in a relationship, like, what is
Yeah,
happening?"
yeah, yeah.
So, in that split second in my brain, I went back to years ago and my awkward reaction, and then where I was today, and I leaned in, and I was just like, "I am. I just don't know who he is yet, so could you pray with me for that guy?" And they started laughing so hard. I started laughing, and it just felt fun and not awkward, and, like, I mean, I can't read the future. I don't know genuinely if I will get married or not,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
like, it was so much more fun than being like, "I gotta go. Bye."
Wow. I love that, Emily, well done. And what a cool like, you told that so well, the progression of time,
Yeah,
that is you, uh, responding instead of reacting.
yeah,
And I think, like, really the first thing one of the biggest things I wanna help single people do is learn how to do the inner work required
yeah,
to be able to sit at a Thanksgiving meal with your extended family or walk through a church
yeah,
lobby and respond in love instead of
mhm,
react out of fear. And, I don't get it right 100% of the time, and I have made just about every mistake in the book when it comes to this, but learning how to get to the point
mhm,
where you stop taking yourself so seriously, you stop taking the whole thing so seriously, and then you help them see, like, you're helping this guy see, like, "Oh, this is probably, like, a maybe a sensitive subject," you know?
yeah,
And so maybe I should, like, reframe the way that I'm saying these things 'cause
yeah,
married people, they just don't think about it, you
no,
know? They're just
yeah,
they're trying to relate to you, and the only way they can relate to you is the
mhm,
fact that they've been married for decades, and so
right,
they're gonna talk about that. So well done. That's a really cool
well
story.
Well, I loved yours, and I won't give a spoiler alert so people go buy your book. And in fact, while I'm speaking about it, y'all pause listening to Ryan's story, go to Amazon, buy the book, and then come back and push play.
Thank
All
you.
right, we're back to that now. So, but it was just so practical. I really appreciate it, and I loved even your authenticity throughout the book and what you just shared there. In that we don't always get it perfectly. So I think even though you might see progress and your own confidence building and owning your season, it doesn't mean that now all of a sudden it's perfect and you might not have a day where you do struggle or wonder. And so I appreciated that as well, the humanness of that. It's easy.
Yeah,
I'm a recovering perfectionist, as I'll
there
call
we
it.
go.
And
There we
so
go.
I lean into, okay, if I did it perfect once, like I need to do it perfect every time. And that's not the case. I'm a human being
That's
and I'm going to mess up a lot.
that's it.
So I
So
appreciated
good.
that in the book.
Yeah, I was, on the phone with my friend Matt, who
Mhm,
is in the book. He's the guy that lives in Hawaii, and, we were talking last night, and he
mhm.
had just finished it, and we were laughing. He was like, "Yeah, I was reading the whole time, and it's really just you talking about how bad you are at all these things." And it was so perfect. And he didn't say it exactly like that, but that's how I heard it. Of
Mhm.
like, it's really just you like inviting us into your process of becoming,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
not of getting to some finish line and
Yeah.
then reaching back and going, "Here's how you be single," you know.
Exactly.
And that was like a really freeing. I just do that naturally, But it
Mhm.
was really helpful to have somebody put language to it, like, "Oh, yeah, that's like, why would I try to pretend like I'm, like, an expert at something that I'm not an expert in? Like, what if I just invite people in on the journey, and then maybe they'll find some of their story in my story," you know?
No, it's so freeing, and it really does give permission to people to be becoming,
Yeah.
as well. So I appreciated that, and even one other layer to let those of you who are watching and listening in. At the time of us recording Ryan's Becoming story, a week ago was my 33rd birthday, and so I'm stepping into my birthday, right? And I don't
Happy
know
birthday.
what. Why, thank you. I don't know what it is about stepping into the 30s for me that it like every birthday I'm like, oh, I'm single. I didn't think this was gonna be happening at this point. And so
Mhm.
rather than celebrating it, I tip into some weird emotions around it and have to process it. So I finish your book the day before this 33rd birthday, step
Yes.
into my 33rd birthday, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna be 33." Like, and I'm feeling all the feelings, and I literally, in the middle of my birthday, Ryan, I'm like, "Emily, you are not being single today. Come on, girl." And I literally, like, bounced back and was able to enjoy celebrating. And so it's the nuance of you gotta go through and feel and name and validate your emotions and your feelings, and then just keep becoming through them. It's not gonna be perfect.
Not
So,
gonna be perfect. Thank you for
yeah.
sharing that. That's
Well,
it. Like, you just explained. You it's crazy how much power birthdays have. Christmas has this
yeah,
power, Valentine's Day has this power,
yeah,
weddings has this power. Like, there's a
yep,
few things throughout the year that, like, really heighten the struggle of singleness.
yeah,
Um, and I think those are actually amazing opportunities to practice going,
agreed.
"Okay, I'm not gonna." I call it the tomorrow trap, right? Like,
Okay.
you're trying to be present today, but you can't stop thinking about
Mhm.
tomorrow. You can't stop thinking about the future. You can't stop thinking about what this means. Like, will I be single again in my next birthday? And like all of these things. And it's like, or you could just
Mhm.
celebrate the fact that you're alive, that you're breathing, that you have
Yep,
an amazing life and
yeah,
community around you. And for me, like, it's so much. It's been a journey of realizing, um, hey, I have so many blessings that I'm not focusing on right now because I'm like honed in on these couple burdens
yeah,
that are over here. And it's
yeah,
like, if you can, if I the day I just learned to put those back up
mhm,
on the shelf, it's like
yep,
I started to realize, like, oh, there's all these amazing people around me.
yeah,
Let's focus on that. And so that's a really cool story. And happy birthday.
yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks for helping me celebrate it today. So, okay, I'm curious. You've talked about coffee shops and you talk about coffee shops a lot in your book. So, what's your coffee order?
That's such a good question. I spend way too much time in coffee shops. I'm like, I'm the guy that I go in and the baristas know my order. You know, they're like, "Oh, what are you working on today?" Um, and it just, I don't know why. I just I'm a huge introvert that likes to be around people but not have to
Mhm,
talk to them.
mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
And so an americano is
Okay.
my go-to.
Okay.
Now I live in Austin, and
Mhm,
it's about to get very hot here for the summer.
mhm.
And so I will shift to a cold brew or iced
Okay.
coffee.
Okay.
Um, some of it, I'm giving you more than you asked for, but some of it also depends on if I'm getting a snack. And
Okay.
so let's dive in here.
Yes, please.
If I'm getting like a muffin, I'm
Okay.
going with a hot drink, so I'm going americano.
Okay.
But if it's like, if I'm eating, and I'm a weird person that combines like food with coffee. If I'm
Okay.
getting a slice of pizza at the coffee shop, I'm going
Mhm.
with the cold brew. I'm going with the cold drink because I don't want to drink a
Okay.
hot coffee with the pizza. Is
Okay.
does
Okay.
any of that resonate with you at all?
So, first, your coffee shop sells pizza?
Yeah, one of them does. Okay, there is one coffee shop that's open 24/7. And it's on this college campus, so it's me and a bunch of college kids, but a lot of them go to Red Rocks, and they're all super cool. Um, but if I'm writing late,
Mhm.
coffee shops these days close at like 5 p.m.
It's
Um,
crazy. Yeah.
so I'll go to that one, and they have pizza there, which is wild, and it's actually pretty good.
That is really cool. I need a coffee shop that has pizza and coffee in my life right now. Like, come on to Florida. Let's go.
Are there
So,
are there good coffee shops in Florida?
Oh, so many, like so many. Um, I don't know. I have a couple in Ocala where I'm located that are my go-tos. And I do know the baristas as well. But it makes it fun. So I'm a fan. Although they don't have pizza. So I will definitely, when we're done recording, be submitting those ideas to the local Ocala coffee shops. Please
You
sell
gotta
pizza
tell them.
with the coffee. Yeah,
You gotta tell them.
exactly.
What's your
So
go-to coffee order?
oh, okay, I'm kinda weird because 'cause I'll change it, like, every time.
Yep.
I have a couple go-tos, like, I like peppermint mochas all year long because who doesn't love Christmas all the time? Just saying. But I really like trying, like, specials of the day or the month or just asking the barista what they like, and then if it sounds remotely good, I go for it. So I
So
switch it up.
you're switching it up constantly.
Yeah, but that's only because I've already had, like, 3 cups of straight black coffee in the morning, so I don't
Understood.
know. I'm probably overly caffeinated. It's okay. It's fine. I run later, so I get rid of some of the extra
Yeah.
energy.
We'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, if you were having pizza and coffee, because I think that's my favorite combo from this category right now. If you're having pizza and coffee, but this time you're not working on a project, you are headed to this coffee shop with a fellow warrior friend,
Mm.
and they're chatting with you, sharing stuff going on in their life. What would you say to encourage them to become who God made them to be?
Such a great question. Um, for me, what I've been realizing in my own life is, hey, there isn't something wrong with you. And so don't run away from the weak points
Mm,
and don't try to push those things down or cover them up. Take the opposite approach. Take the Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians 12, boast about the weakness. Actually run straight into the insecurity,
mm,
and double down on that, because that is oftentimes where you're going to find all of the good stuff and all of the life and all of the like deep joy
mm,
and love is by by I think I would start by saying you have a seat at the table, and
mm,
so don't try to audition to get your role as a friend in this group of friends, or
mhm,
whatever, all the silly games we play.
mhm.
You have a seat at the table, and so from there, don't shy away from your
Mm.
weaknesses, but actually run through them.
Drop the mic. That is so good. Thank you for sharing that. We've talked about your book. I know you have a podcast. So share with us what you want to share about your book, your podcast, how people can connect with you, all the things.
Yeah, so it's all on my website, ryanweckman.com. But the biggest thing for me right now is the book. Trying to push the book out into the world, and I just feel like loneliness is an epidemic, and
Yeah.
so there are millions of lonely people sitting, scrolling, trying to get unstuck, who could really use this book. I've been trying to figure out how to get it into their hands. So if you could help get the book and then share the book, pass the book around, leave reviews on Amazon, on Goodreads, on all of that. And then I also have a podcast. It's just the Single Today podcast that just complements the book, and takes a different angle and approach on some of the content. It's kind of like the often like what you're doing here. It's me going like, here's why I wrote this chapter and here's what was
Yeah.
going on there. And then just on Instagram, Ryan Wekenman.
Mm.
I have not been a social media person for 34 years of my life, and for the last 3 months, I have been, and
Way
I'm
to go.
just I'm just doing my best. I don't know how I feel about it. Actually, I know how I feel about it. I don't love it, but I understand the importance of it.
Mhm.
And so yeah, you can follow me there, and yeah, that's those are the big ones.
That's cool. And there's a U version plan too, correct?
There is, yeah, there's a
Okay,
5-day, reading plan on YouVersion,
cool.
for Single to it's just called Single Today by Ryan
Cool.
Weckman that you can check out, and, yeah, that's
That's
what I would
awesome.
say.
So for warrior friends watching and you are single today, my absolute favorite resources, literally, Ryan, yours is in this category now. I have read a lot of books on singleness, and there
Mm,
are three that stand out to me. Single Today by Ryan, who we're chatting with right now. I also really like Single, Dating, Engaged, Married,
mhm,
Ben Stewart. And
great.
then Do These Sweatpants Make Me Look Single by Jen Carlson. So good.
I have not read that.
It if you want to laugh until you cry, you read that book. It is
I'm
so
gonna
good.
I'm gonna check it out. Okay. That's
It
a
is so good.
phenomenal title.
Yeah, literally. It's I can't give spoiler alerts. We've shared Jen's becoming story as well. She is amazing. Amazing. And her book is phenomenal. So, Ryan, as we wrap up your becoming story today, is there any final words of encouragement or things that you would want to share?
Yeah, I do think that, it's really important for people to hear no matter what life stage you're in, whether you are, to quote, uh, the book we just referenced, single, dating, engaged, or married, that today is where all the potential is to love people well,
Mhm,
and to make a difference in this world. And I know how much shame and regret from yesterday holds us down. I know how much
mhm,
bitterness and resentment from past hurts, can plague us. And I know how much worry about the future and the tomorrow trap,
mhm,
can make us feel like there's something wrong with us today. But I just believe that Jesus gives us the sweet invitation to not worry about tomorrow for a reason,
mhm,
and the sweet invitation to heal, the stuff from our past, to let God into to that stuff, because there is healing, there is no
mhm,
condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. You really can learn to heal and move beyond that stuff from your past and surrender the future. And when you do that, you may just realize that there are some amazing people and amazing opportunities in your life today. And I just want to encourage you to live today to the fullest.
So good. Thank you just for sharing the gift of who you are, who you're becoming, your book, your encouragement. I'm inspired and encouraged by you, and I just thank you for your time. So thanks for being here.
Thanks, Emily. And thanks for this space. Thanks for everything you're doing. Keep it up. It's so important.
Thank you.